There was a time when Hooters was everywhere. Crowded restaurants, billboards with smiling waitresses, and men lining up for wings served by women in tight orange shorts. But today, many of those restaurants are gone. So what went wrong? How did one of the most famous restaurant chains in the world fall so fast? Was it just about the food? Or was their biggest marketing weapon the Hooters girl? Also the reason people started turning away? Let's be honest, Hooters didn't sell just burgers and wings. They sold an experience built around showing skin and drawing attention. For years, this risky strategy worked, but did they go too far? In a world that kept changing, Hooters stayed the same, and that became a big problem. Could it be that the very thing that made them popular is also what destroyed them? Let's take a deep look at what really happened to this once booming brand. The birth of an unconventional idea. Hooters began in 1983 in Clearwater, Florida, founded by 6 businessmen who referred to themselves as Hooters 6. These men had little restaurant experience, but they knew one thing. They wanted to create a restaurant that was fun, casual, and unapologetically bold. The concept mixed sports bar vibes with waitresses dressed in revealing outfits. It was a risk, but it paid off. The idea caught on quickly. Hooters offered an experience that was different from the typical dining scene. Customers weren't just coming for burgers and wings. They were coming for the Hooters girls and the high-energy environment. In a time before social media, word of mouth and curiosity drove large crowds through the doors. The restaurant built its identity around a specific kind of fun, casual, carefree, and a little controversial. By the late 1000s, 980s, Hooters had become a sensation. Its unique combination of food, service, and spectacle turned it into one of the fastest-growing restaurant chains in the country. The business model proved so successful that the founders began franchising locations rapidly, paving the way for national expansion. Explosive growth and cultural fame. By the early 2000s, Hooters had become a cultural icon. With more than 400 restaurants in over 24 countries, it wasn't just an American favorite, it was a global brand. The chain launched calendars, sponsored NASCAR drivers, and even had its own airline, Hooters Air, for a short time. The image of the Hooters girl became a brand mascot recognized worldwide. The restaurant became popular not just for its food, but also as a place to watch sports, hang out with friends, or hold casual business lunches. It carved out a strong niche in the crowded casual dining space by being both playful and consistent with its branding. For many, visiting Hooters was more about the experience than the food itself. Hooters also found a way to expand beyond the dining table. Their merchandise line, particularly calendars and apparel, became a significant part of the brand's revenue. During this time, the company enjoyed steady profits and a loyal customer base. The Hooters girl was not just a server, but a symbol of the brand's attitude and lifestyle. Cracks in the brand image. Hooters' rise to fame was undeniably tied to its bold, attention-grabbing image, an image that revolved heavily around showcasing women in revealing uniforms. For years, this marketing strategy worked, drawing in crowds who were enticed not just by the wings, but by the Hooters girls serving them. As time passed, cracks started to appear in the brand's foundation. As society began to evolve and challenge traditional gender roles and workplace equality, Hooters' portrayal of women as objects of desire began to feel more and more outdated. What had once been considered edgy and fun slowly started to feel out of place, with many people questioning the ethics behind a business model that seemed to rely on objectifying women. By the 2010s, the brand was struggling to appeal to younger audiences. Millennials and Gen Z consumers were less interested in restaurants and more focused on food quality, inclusive environments, and modern dining experiences. Hooters' image, once seen as bold and playful, began to look tone-deaf in a changing cultural landscape. Competition in the casual dining industry was heating up. New restaurants like Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, and countless local sports bars began offering better food, better service, and a more modern atmosphere. Hooters' once unique vibe was no longer enough to bring customers back. Changing demographics and social pressure. Another challenge came from shifting demographics. As younger generations entered adulthood, their values didn't align with Hooters' brand. What used to be a novelty became seen by many as sexist or uncomfortable. Younger customers preferred restaurants that were inclusive and welcoming to everyone, not just tailored to a male gaze. Women, families, and even men began seeking out different types of dining experiences. Chains like Applebee's, Chili's, and newer fast casual brands offered cleaner, family-friendly environments. This shift in consumer behavior hit Hooters hard. Social media also played a role. Unlike the 1990s and early 2000s, when branding was controlled by TV commercials and billboards, today's consumers shape brand reputations online. Negative perceptions of the Hooters brand were amplified across platforms, making it harder to rebrand or pivot without drawing criticism. Desperate attempts to modernize. As the cultural tide turned, Hooters knew it had to do something. Around the mid-2010s, the company tried to update its image. They introduced new uniforms that were slightly more modest, remodeled some locations to appear more modern and family-friendly, and even launched a new spin-off restaurant concept called Hoots. In this version, the focus was more on the food and less on the waitress's appearance. But the damage was already done. These attempts came too late to change the public perception of Hooters. Most customers still saw it as a brand stuck in the past. The Hoots locations didn't take off the way the company hoped, and efforts to attract a broader audience didn't create the kind of buzz needed to reverse the decline. Hooters was now caught between trying to stay true to its original identity and adjusting to a world that had moved on. Even loyal fans were divided. Some criticized the brand for trying to go soft and abandon its roots, while others felt the changes weren't enough. The result was a brand identity crisis. Hooters didn't fully commit to a new path, nor did it double down on what made it successful in the first place. It found itself stuck in a confusing middle ground, unable to satisfy either side. Financial trouble and store closures. With its public image crumbling and new customers hard to find, Hooters began facing serious financial trouble. In the 2010s, several reports indicated declining sales and a drop in foot traffic. The once expanding brand started shrinking. Dozens of locations across the U.S. quietly shut their doors. Some international branches closed down entirely. In 2019, Hooters was sold to a private equity firm, a sign that the original model was no longer working. Revenue dropped significantly. According to industry data, Hooters' U.S. system-wide sales had fallen by over 10% between 2012 and 2019. Competitors were growing while Hooters was slipping. Their menu hadn't evolved much, and their once popular brand was now seen as outdated, problematic, or irrelevant to a new generation. By 2023, the decline had become more visible. More store closures, fewer franchise expansions, and less media presence showed that Hooters was far from its peak. A restaurant that had once been a cultural icon was now barely holding on. Many of its locations still operate, but the golden days of Hooters dominating the casual dining scene are long gone. What really killed Hooters? Hooters didn't collapse overnight, but if you look closely, there are 4 major reasons behind its downfall. Here's a quick breakdown. Number 1, outdated marketing strategy. Hooters stuck to the same old image of tight uniforms and a male-focused vibe. As society changed, their branding didn't. People wanted better food, respect, and inclusiveness, but Hooters kept promoting an outdated theme that didn't fit anymore. Number 2, Nonstop controversies. The brand faced regular backlash, from dress code lawsuits to criticism about objectifying women. These issues damaged their public image and pushed many people away, especially as views on gender equality grew stronger. Number 3, stronger competition. While Hooters stood still, places like Wingstop, Buffalo Wild Wings, and local bars stepped up. They offered better food, service, and atmosphere without the drama. Customers simply found better options. Number 4, ownership changes and poor direction. With different owners over the years, Hooters lacked clear leadership. Each change brought confusion instead of progress. They tried to fix things, but it was too little, too late. So do you think Hooters could have turned things around with better leadership and fresh ideas, or was the fall just bound to happen? If you liked this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. for more eye-opening stories about the rise and fall of famous brands.